Morning.
Hi, Earl. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I didn't see you last night on the Zoom.
I was on the Zoom. I was.
Oh, you were? Oh.
Mhm. Yeah. I was away for a week. I was in New York, and I just got back. So, but I had. Most days I had a wedding and a shower, so I wasn't on those 2 days. But I had my head. But
where was whose wedding was it?
A cousin of ours. She's
Nice.
cousin's grandson. Yeah, so it's a Lakewood. You slept from Far Rockaway to Lakewood.
Oh, that's a schlep.
It's such a schlep. You know, in California, if a wedding is more than 20 minutes away, no one goes. There it's 2 hours, 2.5 hours to drive.
I remember Jenny Fish once made a wedding in Anaheim. Do you remember that?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, that was a schlep. It was
Yeah,
beautiful.
no.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a schlep.
Right, yeah. Yeah, rest in peace, Jenny, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
ever
Lakewood seems to be they make it so cheap there, you can't refuse. I mean, it's like such a deal.
And, you know, in comparison to the Brooklyn, you know, in comparison, yeah. Well, listen, still costs a fortune to make for a person.
That's true.
You know, yeah. You know, I was thinking, last week. Oh, never mind. Okay.
Kan be'oines, kan be'rodson, that if a woman was forced through rape to commit adultery, then she can go back to her husband. Except if she's a kohen, of course. Kan be'rodson, if she, of course, participates willingly, then she's usher to her husband. Because we had two barises. One said that it's a sin that can be reversed. One says it can't be reversed. So this is another way to explain it. Or you could say both cases are talking about with rape. An Eishes kohen cannot, she would be usher to go back to live with her husband, even if she was raped. Kan Beishas Yisrael, where she could go back. Person who knew how to learn completely, and then he only started learning Chumash, Shuvein lo shalom, because you can't learn the same halacha lemaisa from that kind of living. Even if you go from Gemara to Mishnah, that's considered a unredeemable problem, because again, the Mishnah is much less explanatory. It's just like a list of halacha without reasoning. Rabbi Yochanan, Talmud. For example, if you went from Talmud Yerushalmi to Talmud Bavli or vice versa, because many times there are different shitot and halacha between, so he doesn't really find his place. Mishnah. Heter Nadar and Porchim Ba'avir. We have a din, of course, that if somebody makes a neder, you can go to a chacham to be matir neder. Now, there's no psukim. It's like it's dancing on the pin of a head, on the head of a pin, is what the Mishnah is telling us. That's what it means by porkim ba'avir. They fly in the air because there's not a lot of psukim to give a raya for that. Similarly, says the Mishnah, Hilchos Shabbos, Hilchos Chagigos v'Me'ilos, Hareim kaharorim hatluim. So it's like a mountain that's balancing on a hair thread. Again, these are big halachas. There's not a lot of psukim for them. Shein mikra muad v'halachas merubas. These are many complicated halachas with very few psukim to explain. Hadinim, which means mominus, dinim mominus, ve'avoidos korbonos, ataharis fatumas, the dinim about tahara and tum of arayos, the prohibited relations. Yesh le'lam ashma yispachu. There's a lot of psukim on that. And ve'ein hein gufei Torah. And therefore, those are the gufei Torah. The Gemara is going to ask, what do you mean? The others are not gufei Torah? Okay. Again, just for tomorrow night, we're going to learn Navi at 7:30, and then the Daf Yomi after. Tanya Rabbi Eliezer Omer yesh lam al mashi yismachu. Heter Nedorim has something to rely on. Shenamar ki yafli shtei pamim. It says a person should be mafli, should speak out a neder, ki yafli lindor neder, achas afla le'isr, achas afla le'heter. The double language of yafli is one time your mouth asers something through a neder, and then another time you go to a chacham through hafla and he matters you the neder. That's how Rabbi Eliezer is. Rabbi Shomer yesh lam al mashi yismachu shenemar asher nishbati va'api. That means when I was angry, I took a shvua. Ba'api nishbati, but v'chazarti bi. When I was angry, I took a shvua or a neder, but then I regretted, and I went to a chacham and matir. So it shows that nedarim are situational based on your emotional state. Rav Yitzchak Omer yesh lam al mashi yismachu shenemar kol nediv libo. Yiviena. It means when your lave has a ratzon to do the neder, you have to bring the neder. But when your heart has no ratzon anymore to do the neder, like Rashi says, "Modeno libo nod v'alav v'mischarei yatiru lo." If his heart regrets what he did, the chacham can be matir the neder. Chananya ben Achi Rabbi Yoshua Omer yesh lo mashi yismachu shenemar nishbati v'akaymena lishmor mishpetei tzidkecha. I took a shvua to be makayim and to watch over the righteous mishpatim. So there's a shvua that I won't be makayim, which is the one that was matir. Armi Rameshwal Iavi Hasam, Armi Ludidi Adifa Miditchu. Shmuel says, if I was there in this conversation, I would have given a better answer. Shenemar, Lo Yachel Devaro. A person should not go back on his neder. Who ain't a mochel? Aval acher mochlim lo. But a chacham could be mochel for you. A third party could be mochel. Amar Rava l'kulias lu pircha levar medishmud delasle pircha. Rava says all of the reasonings given by the other chachamim have kashas. The only one that doesn't have a kasha is Shmuel. Dim Rabbi Eliezer, who said ki afli, Dilma Rav Yidamar Shamar Mishum Rav Tarfon. The time Rav Yidamar Mishum Rav Tarfon. La'olam ein echad mehem nazir. Shlo nit nazir so la'afla. Means a person makes a neder. It's not clear the language that they used to become a nazir. So neither of them become a nazir because ki afli tells us you have to be very clear in your language. It can't be in doubt what you mean. Even Rabbi Yoshua, who said it's asher nishbati v'api, the machi kamer v'api nishbati v'lo adarnabi. Yeah, I took a shvur in my anger, and there's no way out of it. Even Rabbi Yitzchak, the Malafukim Shmuel. Rabbi Yitzchak, who said, "Kol nadiv libo," as long as your heart wants it. If your heart doesn't want it, it goes away. With heter, maybe he needs kol nadiv libo to say the din is not like Shmuel. Damar Shmuel, gomer belibo, tzarach sheyotzi b'sfasav. Maybe that if you think about it in your heart, it's enough. Right? Shmuel says no. If you think about it, you've got to still enunciate it in your mouth in order for it to be a neder. Kamashmalon, maybe Rav Yitzchak says, "Kol nediv libo, the alpha gav lo hotzav yisfosov," it's still a neder. And Im Chananya ben Achi Rabbi Yoshua, who said Nishbati v'kamena lishmor mishpatei tzidkecha, Dilma Rav Gila Marav, Rav Gila Marav, Minayin shenishbaim l'kamis mitzvah. A person can be mizariz himself to do mitzvahs by taking a shvuah. Shenema nishbati v'kamena lishmor mishpatei tzidkecha, from that pasuk. Ela de Shmuel, who said lo yachel devaro, hu eino moichel aval acher moichlim lo. That's Leslie Pircha. That has no kasha. Amar Rav Vitem Rav Nachman Yitzchak Kanu Damri Inshi. Tava Chada Pilpata Charitim Im Light Sana Dekari. A good hot spicy pepper is better than a big basket full of dry zucchinis. I mean, that's referring to Shmuel's vort of Lo Yachel Devaro. Then the Mishnah said, Hilchos Shabbos is like a mountain standing on a little hair. Mor says, what do you mean, Michtav Ksivin? What are you talking about? It's written in the Torah about Hilchos Shabbos. What do you mean it's on a hair? Lo tzricha lech Rababa. Rababa choifer guma b'Shabbos. The ein tzarech el lafara. This is mlacha she'en tzricha legufa. Person digs. Now, the malachos were established based on malachos that were done in the Mishkan. The Mishkan, you needed dirt. So when you dug a hole, the purpose was to obtain dirt. Now, if I dig a hole because I want to make a ditch and I don't need the dirt, so that's not the same malacha that was done in the Mishkan. That's number one explanation. And it doesn't fulfill the malacha chafira because he didn't have kavanah to make for the dirt. Patra aleh. So this kind of din is something that's hanging in the hair. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, it's a malacha she'en tzrich legufa, and we need. How do we know it's potter from this Mishnah? More says it's not. Afilu temin Rabbi Yehuda who holds malacha she'en tzrich legufa chayev. Here, Rabbi Yehuda would also potter. Why? Because there are malachos that are mekalkel, and there are malachos that metaken. Here, it's a malacha that's mekalkel, and even Rabbi Yehuda by malacha she'en tzrich legufa would be potter, right? Also mesaken also mekalkelu. Ma'ika aror matlum b'saira, because melechas machshavas aser toira. There's a concept of melechas machshavas. Rashi shemachshava chashva b'daito v'niskavin lezeh. He had his mind. Is that kavanah for that? He didn't have kavanah for this other kind of thing, and that's why he's potter. The concept of melechas machshavas is not written anywhere in the Torah, says Rashi. It's written by Mishkan. But there's a smichas in Parsha Vayakel to Shabbos, so we learn melechas machshavas from that. Then the Mishnah said Chagigos Michtav Ksivim. It says that the Chagigos are also halachos that are dangling on a hair. They're written beferish. What do you mean? It says you shall have a chag for Hashem. Who says that that's shchit of a korban? Maybe just have a good time, have a party, have a holiday, but not necessarily korban. So the Gemara want to say Chag Hashem is the source for the Chagigah. Maybe not. Maybe it just says have a party. Moshe Rabbeinu in front of Paro said, "Let my people go, so we can be choygeg in the midbar." So the Gemara says, "That's no raya. Hachinami the chagu chagu. Maybe it's just that they were going to have a party." You, Paro, will give us animals or korbanos. So the chura, the Chag in the Midbar was for korbanos. Of course, there's no raya. No. Listen, when you have a party, you have to have a barbecue. You need meat. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a chiv korban. Of course, there's low salgadite. That doesn't make sense. When it talked about these zvachim, it says you shouldn't leave over chaylev until the morning. If it's just regular party, First of all, you don't need chaylev for a party. Chaylev is only when you have to offer the chaylev on the mizbeach. Maybe the chaylev that comes at the time of Chag, you should not leave over, but others you can. What the rest of the year, if you do a korban, you can be made kol halayla naboiker see. There's always a finite time until the morning. Versus maybe Dilma Ima, if I would have learned from there, Havamina Hahula say. Michael, listen, I'm teaching a class right now, but 8:30, I'll be done at 8:30. So I'll yeah. I'll call. You got my message, right? Yeah. No. I'll call you in about 15 minutes. I'll be on my way to work and we'll have a talk, okay? Thank you, Mike. I would have thought, Hahula say that there's an assay not to leave over the chaylev because lav. So the Torah wanted to tell me there's a lav as well if you leave it over. For the Gemara, the lav because of krachrina. There's another pasuk. V'lo yalim in abasar asher tizbach ba'erev v'yom rishon laboiker. Maybe if you didn't lav or lav b'shnei lavim v'asei. Well, that's maybe you're going to be over 2 lavim. Ela asya midbar. It says v'yachoguli b'midbar, and it says in Amos azvachim u'mincha igashtem li b'midbar. Malal zvachim avkan zvachim. Just like over there, it's clearly referring to korbanos because it says mincha avkan zvachim. So why is that considered like it's dangling on a hair? Because divrei Torah, divrei Kabbalah, normally we don't make a hekesh from Navi, which is Amos, to the Torah. So it's in a sense, it's like a dangling hair. Then Me'ilos. The Chiyuv Me'ilah is if I take something that belongs to Hegdish and I use it, I'm Chayiv Me'ilah and I have to bring a korban, I have to pay a fifth. So what do you mean Me'ilos is dangling on a hair? Michtav Ksivan. It's written. So special din by Me'ilah. We have a concept. If I tell a shaliach, go kill that person. Like in general secular law, so you'd be a conspirator and you'd be accused of murder as well because you helped plan it, you sent the guy, right? But in the Torah, in halacha, there's a concept, ein shlichus lidvar aveira. I tell Chaim Yankel to go murder somebody, and Chaim Yankel murders him. The murderer is Chaim Yankel. It doesn't make difference that I sent him as a shaliach, because Chaim Yankel has me to listen to, and he has Hashem to listen to. He's supposed to listen to Hashem and not murder. So ein shlichus lidvar aveira. But there's an exception to that rule. It's me'ilah. Hashaliach sha'asa shlichusu balabayis mal. That means, if the balabais tells a shaliach, go take this money, it belongs to Hegdish, and go buy some meat with it, and the shaliach does exactly what the balabais told him to do, the balabais is chayv mina, goes all the way back to the balabais. There is shlichus. Now, lo asa shlichus or shaliach mal. Let's say the shaliach, instead of buying meat, bought chicken. So now it's on him because he changed what the balabais. Me'ilah was carried out because it's Hegdish money that was spent for Chulin. But since he didn't carry out exactly the words of the Balabayit or the what the Balabayit told him, he's mal. So you said that if the shaliach actually carries out the shlichus exactly like the Balabayit said, he's mal. The Chazer shlichuso, he goes back to the Balabayit. I understand. The shaliach ended up as the one doing the sin. How could the Balabais be mischayiv? That's what we mean, that the laws of Me'ilah are dangling on a thread because it goes against Svara. Amar Ravu, my kushya. What do you mean? Why do you have a problem? Dilma shiny Me'ilah, the Yalfa chet bitruma. Maybe there's a Gzeira Shava between the word chet that appears by Truma and the word chet that appears, it says by Me'ilah v'chata b'shkaga mikadshei Hashem. And Betruma it says v'lo tisu alav chet. Now, by Truma, ma'asam shlucho shalom kamoso, when I send a shaliach to take Truma for my produce, it's exactly as if I did it. The shaliach is like the sender. So therefore, we learn by Me'ilah, same thing. Afkan shlucho shalom kamoso. The shliach will be like the person, and the person gets the aveira. So then now so what is the unusualness of Me'ilah that is considered dangling on a thread? Very interesting halacha here. Niskar balabait lo niskar shaliach. In these cases of Me'ilah, you're a shogeg. It's not that the guy knew, the balabais knew that this money was hegdish. And the shliach certainly doesn't know. And I give it to a shaliach to go buy a piece of meat. On the way, the owner all of a sudden remembers, oh, that's hegdish money. But it's not enough time to let the shaliach know. Nizkar balabais lo nizkar shaliach mal. The shaliach is mal because the sender, the balabais, is not shoygig anymore. But the problem is shliach anya maikov, this poor shaliach, he's like, stop, what did he do wrong? The fact that the balabais remembered, and he's now stuck with the punishment? Hainu karor, yeah. So that's the unusual svara, which that's why the Mishnah declared it, that these dinim are like hanging on a thread. Amar Rav Ashi, my question, I have a kasha on that too. Maybe this is similar to the case, general rule by Me'ilah, that if hegdish money goes out l'chulin, it's like a no-fault insurance. You're mechayev b'korban on any action, even if nobody knew that it was hegdish. So that's why over there it works that way. So we're back. What is the unusualness of Me'ilah that we say that it's hanging by a thread? Not al evan or koirish. You have a big wooden beam or big stone that belongs to hegdish. So areze lomal, he hasn't done anything yet to benefit himself. There's no me'ilah. Nostal chavero, he gives it to his friend. Hu mal v'chaver lomal. So now the guy who took the beam and gave it to his friend, he's mal. The chaver who took it from him is not mal. Now michte mishkel shakla. I mean, the guy took it. Mali hu, mali chavero. I mean, what does it make a difference? Somebody's using it now. What does it make a difference whether he has it in his possession or he gave it to his friend? Should be milan no matter what. So that's hainu karar matlun b'sayra. It's that din in Me'ilah that is considered that gets dangling in the air. So again, the Gemara says, "My kushya." That's not it. Maybe Dilma Kedishmuel, Dilma Shmuel, Hacha begizbar Mr. Slavne Binyan Askinan. which is talking about the treasurer, special din in Me'ilah. This we'll learn tomorrow night, Mirz Hashem. Okay, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos.
So tomorrow night, 7:30 is.
Navi, and then 8:30 will be the.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. Have a good Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos, everybody.